Travis Wayne Goodsell. In case you don't know, as Mormon, or even ex-Mormon, there are that ordained women group that has both ex-Mormon women as well as Mormon women who are in secret a part of that group, because the church had excommunicated the founder, Kate Kelly, to shut down that organization. There is the document. Get out your Google, get out your thumbs on your phone to text or to type in. I use computer, I'm old school. 17 March 1842, Joseph Smith Papers. You will find that fateful meeting which the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints does not want you to know about. We have the Doctrine and Covenants. It's sort of missing a lot of information. It's the organization of the Relief Society. And Joseph Smith let the women run it how they wanted to. The women voted for the name. The women voted for the presidency. Joseph Smith had nothing to do with it. This was the women's organization. He let them run it. And then he gave a speech in which he gave them Melchizedek priesthood authority to bless. You can't do that with Aaronic priesthood authority. Melchizedek priesthood authority to bless with the laying on of hands. And then he said, you can organize your organization into offices if you choose, and pattern it after the men's priesthood, and gave examples of Aaronic priesthood offices as well. Deacons, teachers, etc. The church lies to you. Brigham Young did not just take away priesthood from blacks. He took it away from women. The church, for their 192nd, as they're claiming, because they have to, because they keep claiming that Joseph Smith is our founder. They've been lying to us. But nonetheless, for women, it's the 180th anniversary. And in case you haven't been following it, I think it was Benson. I have to check. Let's check. We're doing a video for it. 5 years, 7 years. Okay. So yeah, Elaine L. Jack retired at 7. I did the video on all this, by the way, not too long ago. And so with Mary Elaine W. Smoot, in 1997. Yeah, that's Benson. Because he was 1996 when he was giving his to the youth of the noble birthright at his solemn assembly in the priesthood session. And so, yeah, 5 years, 5 years, 5 years, 5 years, and then Gene B. Bingham, 2017. What's 5 years from 2017? Bingo! We're getting a new Relief Society presidency for the 180th session. Do you think Benson knew about this? Knew the math? Planned this? Because again, who does someone listen to when they're white supremacist and racist and sexist and bigoted and neglectful of the poor and the needy, the sick and the afflicted? Who? God or that other guy? And what are the symbols and signs and numbers of the other guy? By keeping Emma as the founder of the Relief Society, continued through the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Never mind the fact that Emma wants nothing to do with Brigham and his organization, let alone the Relief Society of Brigham's organization. She didn't come to Utah. Nonetheless, they still claim the original church as the founding. It would be number 18. 180th, 18. Racist, sexist, white supremacists. The number 666. When you add 6 plus 6 plus 6 together, what does that equal? Yeah. Do you see why they're keeping Emma? Do you see why they're keeping Joseph Smith? But they've made it very clear they're sexist. The passage in Corinthians by Paul, technically it's the redactor of Paul, because Romans chapter 16 has women in priesthood office, even as an apostle like Paul. Jania. But as long as we don't translate the Bible correctly, we'll never know. Because Phoebe is a servant, not a deacon, when correctly translated. See what the church is doing to you guys? Verse 34 of 1 Corinthians chapter 14. Let your women, and women as understood, it's not virgins, it's women, those who have had babies. Let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. 17 March 1842, Joseph Smith Papers. And so, on September 23rd, 2017, the day, the sign in the heaven for the latter days, the birth sign for the latter days, as given to us in Revelation chapter 12, verse 1, that star date, that was a Saturday, and it was the week before conference. President Thomas S. Monson, having put in the primary president as the Relief Society president, the one who's over children, is now over women. And so her first conference that she presided over was 23rd September 2017, the sign in the heavens for the start, the birth of the latter days. And the church didn't mention it, so they don't consider it part of the latter day prophecies. If they don't mention it, it isn't. They would have revealed it to you otherwise. Somebody else has been revealing it to you. Can you guess? Oh, wait. Is it Brother Bingham in my ward? He's usually pretty crazy. Got far out things going on. And so the very next year, Nelson takes over. Because Monson conveniently died at just the right time to have that $32 billion funneled in through LLC corporations with Orrin Hatch's tax bill for the poor. Yeah, the poor ain't starting no LLC companies. I was born among the poor. How dare you say that I'm doing this for the rich? Yep. And so Nelson came in and announced that women were now going to be part of General Conference as the Saturday evening session in October's. So no more meetings a week before conference. They're now joining conference, which means one meeting is canceled now. The April one, where they have their anniversary of 17 March 1842. He's silencing the women. And so a couple years go by until last year. It was announced that October 2021's general session was not going to have the women. And I did a video, and the news picked it up, and Mormons were outraged. The church was again trying to silence women. And so Nelson retracted again with all the other things he had to retract, especially as I was bringing him up in the court case against the church. Because remember, in 2019, he changed the temple. It particularly dealt with women in the temple. I have to make sure I don't forget. 2022 retaliation. No. 2019, the changes to the temple involved women no longer needing their veil. And that's great if we were Islamic, because that's what their symbolism means, the suppression and compliance of obedience to women, or to the husband. and thus to the church. But did you happen to pay attention how we go before the veil of the temple? Who's on the other side of the veil? Yeah, God representative. It was me and other guys who were veil workers. But we represented God. And so why is Nelson taking away the veil of women? Because who's on the other side of the women's veil? Pop quiz, hotshot. Speed, an eternal classic. Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. Yeah. He took your veil away. He stripped you bare. He rent the veil of women. And all of you thought that we were Islamic with the meaning and symbolism. Oops. Then, he gave Eve a bigger speaking role. Oh yeah, it's so great. Eve has a bigger speaking role. Church is so true. Have you never read the selections from the Book of Moses? Oh, there it is. Oh, you thought it was the church giving... Yeah, oops. Joke's on you. And so there was something else. Not only in the temple robe's now a poncho, so that we can dismiss the Freemasonry switching. But temple robe poncho, get yours today. Temple membership ID required. There was the law of chastity, guys. Gals, dolls. That used to be the thing back in the, 40s and 50s? Guys and dolls. Thus came the play. Though I think that might have been for something else. I don't know. I don't know if I've seen Guys and Dolls. But the old gangster movies. Hey, doll face. But yeah, law of chastity. There were some changes. It was now using the plural pronoun for spouses, and the addition of according to his law. Pop quiz, hotshots. Where in Mormon scripture can be found the current, not the original, law regarding marriage? This is where you take the Doctrine and Covenants sections and attach an associative word for them. So section 89, word of wisdom. Section 20, priesthood. Section 4, missionary service. See where we're going with this? Alright, so pop quiz. Section 132. Polygamy. And there are those who are trying to claim that no, it's for monogamous marriage. Oh, why then did Brigham Young take out the whole chapter by Joseph Smith devoted to monogamous marriage, condemning polygamy? Yeah, Brigham Young took it out the year before he died. in that edition of the Doctrine and Covenants when he put in Section 132. He also gutted Section 131 preceding Section 132 that he added in. And I did the video covering the temple ceremonies that he wrote, and it had his signature from Section 132. Confirmed. Brigham Young wrote Section 132 and took out monogamy and gutted Section 131. Again, the Joseph Smith Papers, guys. This is why I'm finding all this stuff. Section 131 had Joseph Smith talking to a monogamous couple, saying, hey guys, you can be exalted with your temple sealing in the highest degree of the celestial kingdom. Gotta go if you're going to push polygamy. Yep. So Joseph Smith did not threaten the life of Emma to have other women to have sex with. That's a lie, because it was created by Brigham Young way after his death. Huh. Take that, ex-Mormons. Stop spreading the lie about Joseph. Focus on Brigham Young. And so I have done the videos which the church was furious with. And yes, temporarily shut down my channel for that. Exposing not only the law of obedience, but the connection of the law of obedience, because women now in 2019 no longer obey their husband. It's total anarchy in the family now. I like mommy better. She lets me do things. I like daddy better. He gives me better gifts. Daddy, mom said it's okay, right? Oh, well, if she says it was okay. I didn't say it was okay. Yep. Now she obeys God. Oh, how does she obey God? Oh, the prophets. You know, Peter, James, and John. We are messengers from Father sent down to give you further light instructions. So who's the Peter, James, and John of the church? The prophets. Oh, women now obey the prophets. So, okay, what do the prophets say women should do? Obey their husband. Oops! Got conned again. So, the wedding ceremony. Women give themselves to their husband. Women receive their husband. Men do not give themselves to their wife. A little slight technicality, and reveals the old school before 1971, when women were finally given the amendment to vote as human beings. Remember, Joseph Smith, 17 March 1842. Brigham Young took it away and put women back into sex slavery. And with polygamy that Brigham Young was practicing in secret within the church of Joseph Smith, been doing the videos. Joseph Smith was not a part of any of it. He was excommunicating those that were caught. John C. Bennett, for example, Mr. Illuminati. Brigham Young took the secret women in polygamy, because polygamy is against the law in the United States, had been back then too. So the women secretly in polygamy were trafficked out of the United States into Mexico territory. Human sex slave trafficking, by definition. And so, Emma, you see on the little thing that the church, I think, made it up. Emma Smith, 1842 to 1844. Well, she didn't die then, just Joseph. So why does it end at 1844? She was still alive. She didn't go with Brigham Young. She wanted nothing to do with him. Why does she end in 1844? And so she fled into the wilderness with her child, unborn child, because she understood Joseph Smith meant that his future child would run the church, Joseph Smith III. And so he did, but he knew nothing of the church, as it was clear Emma didn't either. And so Joseph Smith III, when he was old enough, thought he'd come to Utah to check out Brigham Young's version, and thus the name Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, not understanding any of Joseph's works, which is kind of sad. But nonetheless, that wasn't the prophecy that Joseph Smith was referring to. Something else. But that's not what we're talking about here in this video. Again. So, Brigham Young immediately assigned a new Relief Society president when he took over the church, right? So we should see 1844 for the next Relief Society president under Brigham Young, right? No. Well, it was when he got to Utah. Well, it was Salt Lake City, and it was Mexico territory. Then the next year, the United States came in, disregarded Brigham Young's Kingdom of Deseret, and turned it into American territory, and the race to get to Congress to designate it as Utah territory. And in 1849, Brigham Young retaliated with the Perpetual Immigration Fund in order to get the European converts, who were poor, to Salt Lake City, and then require them to pay back the loan from the Perpetual Immigration Fund, being slaves, but granting them citizenship upon completion of full payment. That was what the church got shut down for in 1887, along with polygamy, because that was openly practiced in 1851, again in retaliation of the United States taking over his land. And then he did settlements, sending families out north and south to create a blockade to prevent settlers from America from taking over his land. And you get the Mountain Meadows Massacre, for example. So when did the next Relief Society president take over? 1866. When Brigham Young was complaining about the United States and the law against polygamy. I told you, I went over his sermons to collect them. He was very bitter, wanting to practice his religious freedom, like Oaks in Virginia, to commit crimes against women. And so in 1866, Eliza R. Snow became his Relief Society president. She's technically the first. And she lasted until her death in 1887. When the church was shut down. It was hilarious. Both her, who's the president of the Relief Society, and John Taylor, the successor president to Brigham Young, they both die. And then, the church no longer exists. So, Zena in 1888, nope, asterisk, she's not a legitimate Relief Society president. Though, if you make it a social group, sure. If you take away priesthood because the church got shut down by the United States of America, no, she's not legitimate. But if it's just a social group of women, sure. A club where they can discuss books presented by Oprah, sure. But not in the legitimate capacity of the religion, because it doesn't exist on the face of the earth. It's gone. Priesthood authority, gone. If it ever even existed in the first place with Brigham Young. Because I keep reminding you lately, 19 July 1840, Joseph Smith Papers. You can do it. If you don't want to listen to me, read it. Look it up. Read it. What are you afraid of, Mormons? Read it. I already dispelled the sexism of the church, of Brigham Young taking away the priesthood from women. Read 19 July 1840. Read it. Listen to it. Now remember that 666 number? And so the religious organization is not legitimate until in Clarissa S. Williams, until at 1923. She began in 1921. So you had Zena, Bathsheba, and Emmeline, who were just leaders of the social club for women. So Clarissa was part of that social club for 2 years. If we're going to consider the Relief Society president as is now, as an official church organization, the church was not reorganized until 1923 by Heber J. Grant. That's when he reincorporated kept the name that Brigham Young had, because remember, that wasn't Joseph's church name. But Nelson said, did he fulfill prophecy by Joseph Smith for the latter days? Yeah. And so Clarissa is the first restored Relief Society president. So technically, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We're coming on number 13. So similar for the presidents of the church, we're on number 11 right now, to have number 12 when Nelson dies, whenever. Big difference with the real church history that the church is purposely covering up and lying and deceiving us with, because it's not the 192nd General Conference, if that's the number. It's like the 89th, because you got to start with Heber J. Grant in April 1924, because he incorporated after the October Conference in 1923. So, with the retraction of conference in October 2021, and this is why I had to write it down. Nelson retaliated and canceled the BYU Women's Conference this year. Women are to keep silence in the church. Otherwise, the president, Jesus, will be angry and retaliate. He's a vengeful Old Testament God. Did you not see, women? I'm not the bad guy. And yet, the younger women do not like my videos. And it's the younger women specifically who are a part of this movement for ordained women. Very few of the older women, my age and above, are part of that. But that audience are the majority of my females watching my videos, and are listening longer than my male audience, according to the YouTube analytics. So apparently they know where I'm coming from and what I'm talking about, with the penalties of death if you don't obey your husband. So how do we get this information to the younger generation of Mormons? To warn them of the danger. Because we're now in World War III. Even though NATO and America are claiming they don't want to be a part of World War III, they don't want to cause it. Dumbasses, it's already begun. Ezekiel chapter 38 in Bruce R. McConkie's heading. This is it. And so the Jews, understanding Christian beliefs about Armageddon, are very concerned right now, because they know Christians believe that the war is going to turn on Jerusalem. onto Jews. And so they did the peace brokering in Turkey. They're trying everything they can to keep it away from Israel, because they understand the significance of this. And so Pat Robertson, yeah, this is it. Jesus is coming, guys. Isn't that great? Yeah, Mormons believe this too. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints believes this too. And so what is the church doing about it? Is there an exodus going on to bring the missionaries all home so that Zion will be the only place on earth that's not at war? Yeah, they sort of paid for it. And a temple yet to be determined in Russia, a major city. Yeah. See, they know about Ukraine and the war of Magog. There is going to be no war in Jerusalem. But if they want to fulfill it and scare Christians, sure. Scare the Jews, they'll do it. Putin just called for China to send his troops. Help us. China said they'd do it. United States told China, don't do it. You know what that means once we sanction China too for their participation in the war? I warned you, this year is going to get ugly. Not just from the drought. Governor Cox on Monday said we're shutting down your secondary water systems this year in preparation for the extreme drought we're going to have that was worse than last year because we didn't get enough snow. So the rain we had overnight, yeah, nice, but that's not going to do anything. And so, yeah, now they're talking about hydroponic companies trying to collect rainwater. A little late, but anything will help. Sort of. And the church, you know, they pulled missionaries out of Russia, as a member notified me of, did the video. So all you had to do was put the link. You didn't have to Mormon-splain. I'm doing the Mormon-splaining. Because he doesn't know any of this stuff that I'm telling you here. Craig. But, yeah, the Mormons are trapped. The stake presidents, given authority by the church, are refusing to recognize the seriousness of this. To be the man like Moses for their stake or their ward to bring them out of bondage with an exodus. And now they're trapped. There are people fleeing Russia. They're having to climb over the mountains to escape through the borders, other than Belarus, other than Ukraine. Protesters who are peacefully protesting are all locked up for decades this time because it's treason. Instead of forming a resistance movement, although there was that one woman on that Russian state TV that made the news. again, 19 July 1840, Joseph Smith Papers. And it was a woman who wrote it, who was the scribe for Joseph Smith. And Brigham Young purposely did not put it in his Doctrine and Covenants, along with the organization of the Relief Society, because he doesn't want us to know. And so with this war, Nelson's already declared Salt Lake Temple as the Zion Temple. Temple Square is Zion. We're not going back to Missouri, but you haven't read 19 July 1840. We're not supposed to go there either. It's Southern Illinois, which we were supposed to go to, which we were supposed to have the mountain cities of Zion and New Jerusalem built before the coming of the Mormon Christ after the learning of the Jews. And also in that document came a prophecy and an order to save America and the Constitution in the future. But Ezra Taft Benson came out and said, nope, Joseph Smith's going to be a false prophet. The Constitution will not be saved in Washington. And so, yes, Lucifer reigns supreme. 666. As there doesn't seem to be much of a resistance movement within the church. As there doesn't seem to be any hope for Zion. Because I'm still waiting for Joseph Smith translation, Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. Signs in the heavens in the likeness of things on the earth. Great and abominable church is supposed to fall. But it's supposed to be an internal fighting that collapses it. And Mormons are caving to the threats of the church. They're cowering to their power and authority. Because remember Brad Wilcox? Yeah, the news is no longer covering it after the apology by Brad. And then I found Nelson giving an apostle speech at BYU where he was racist too, having to do with marriage. Stay away from those not of your nationality or ethnic group. Never mind who you love. Stay away. And I can't get enough people to listen to that. That was the big thing when Brad Wilcox came out. Oh, I found this other one of Brad being racist. Oh, there's another one, and then silenced. The church silenced the press even. And so, yeah, it was too late for me. I should have found it immediately. Nelson caught being a racist at BYU as an apostle. So yes, number 18, 180th anniversary, not a coincidence. 666. Bring your daughter to the slaughter. Because that's what they're going to do. Restore religious freedom of polygamy as the men die in the war. as only those who are in Zion will be safe from the war. They made a deal with Putin to give back the land of Deseret in exchange for Bears Ears uranium. And so with the United States destroyed in the war, yeah, the church has got a surprise for Putin, but Putin's got a surprise for the church. I haven't heard. Apparently the military has crossed over the temple. I have not heard if they destroyed it. The news doesn't care about the church. They just show the damage done to the city, which means the military had passed over the church to then bomb and attack the city yesterday. Because I did that video that the military was closing in on the temple from the western side. So yeah, is the temple still there? Did Putin give the order to not touch the temple because of a business arrangement? Still waiting for the answer. I wonder if the church would announce it. I doubt it. It would be an after it's all said and done, looking at the damage. But the stake president, we're told, remains. So why isn't it any, just send me the link. If you have information about lately, if the temple is still standing, don't be an ass, just send me the link. But that's what I'm looking for now. I'm looking to find out if Putin did betray Nelson. And so that's what criminals do. They betray each other. They make the money exchange and then stab each other in the back. So, yeah, you're looking at Handmaid's Tale, women. I don't know if you've been watching the show. I could only watch one episode. It was too future PTSD for me, because I'd already figured that's what the church was going to be doing. But to see it in the show, it traumatized me. The younger generation of women do not know what they are in for. You need to let them know, because they aren't going to listen to me.